You ever notice how the more you grow, the more some people stop calling? Like, you're doing better, and yet somehow it feels lonelier. Waking up, no buzz, no text from my crushy, no calendar invite to pretend you're important. Just quiet. And not the peaceful spa music kind, the kind that hums like a question. Where is everyone? Why don't I feel wanted? That ache in your chest. It's not loneliness, it's withdrawal from the drug of being needed, from the dopamine of digital breadcrumbs. And in that stillness, the whisper shows up. Maybe something's wrong with me. And so I want to pause here right quick, because I've been that man. I used to think, did I do something wrong? Like maybe healing was supposed to come with applause, but nope. Sometimes it comes with echoes. And at first, I took it personally, not because I missed them, but because I missed being missed. And yo, ain't that just the darndest thing you ever seen? And it kind of is, literally and figuratively, because nobody teaches anyone nowadays how to sit in silence. They teach us how to be useful, how to be funny, strong, interesting, but never still. So the silence feels like a threat, like if no one needs you today, you're disposable, forgettable, broken. But that's a lie, a handcrafted, culture-soaked lie, one I believed, until the silence stopped feeling like a punishment and started feeling like a forge. Because here's the reframe I wish someone handed me sooner. Stillness is not failure, it's focus. Solitude is not a void, it's a mirror. And yes, it's confronting, because in the quiet, there's no one to perform for, no algorithm to impress, just you and the parts of you you've been avoiding. That restlessness, that's not boredom, that's your soul tapping on the glass, asking if you're finally ready to come home. And here's the truth beneath all the turbulence and chaos. And it's a part that no one really talks about, because it's really hard to see when you're grinding through the trenches, experiencing the realities associated with loneliness being the price we all end up paying for improving ourselves. Brené Brown once said, "You have to become perfectly okay with feeling the momentary discomfort of being the source of rejection, because the short-term discomfort of saying no to someone else is well worth the long-term gratification of saying yes to yourself." The man who learns to sit with himself becomes someone no one can shake. Not because he's loud, but because he's rooted, because growth, real growth, it doesn't always come with understanding. It comes with clarity. And clarity, oh, it makes people squirm. People often chase likes, status, reassurance.
You're so hot!
But the man who chooses stillness, he stops orbiting other people's approval and starts becoming his own gravity. And look, I'm not saying go full monk mode. You don't have to delete Instagram and grow a beard that writes haikus, but if you can sit in a room by yourself and not immediately reach for a distraction, congratulations. Because here's the plot twist no one tells you. Stillness doesn't make you boring. It makes you magnetic, because people feel it. That calm, that clarity, that quiet power that says, I know who I am, and I don't need you to clap for it. So if you're watching this and some part of you is whispering, maybe I'm just not built for solitude, I want to say this gently but clearly. You are. You always were. You just forgot. Because we've been trained to perform, to seek applause, to be palatable. But you are not here to be digestible. You are here to be whole. So this is your line in the sand, not to reject the world, but to return to yourself. And if you feel that stirring, if your old self is watching this, the one who felt disposable in the quiet, tell him this. I choose solitude to forge my strength. As I learn to make friends with this space, my life will gradually be transformed. And one day, maybe I'll even realize that this aloneness vibe I'm currently carrying is, in fact, where my deepest love comes from. I may not understand it now, but I'm ready to take the plunge and meet the aspects of myself I've yet to discover. Write it in the comments, say it out loud, not for me, for you. So, your bones remember. And from this stillness, watch what awakens. Your voice, your standards, your truth. Because you're not falling behind, you're falling inward. And what you build in silence will echo louder than anything you could chase in the noise. Now here's the weird truth no one told me when it comes to stillness, isolation, and solitude. You don't need to be understood by everyone to be at peace. You just need to stop betraying yourself to stay connected. That's not isolation, that's liberation. Because when you stop apologizing for your boundaries, when you stop shrinking so other people can feel tall, when you stop explaining your worth like it's on trial, some people, good people even, might drift. Not because you're wrong, but because your calm exposes their chaos. And not everyone's ready to see that. And let those lanterns light up the road for you as you embark on a transformation journey that will involve some short-term discomforts. And let me be honest with you, stillness sounds poetic, but practicing it, it's messy as hell. Solitude isn't some Instagram aesthetic. It's not soft music and mountain views. It's sitting with the parts of yourself you usually outrun. And trust me, I used to be super lightning fast, like a flash of lightning or something. Almost like I was like a superhero that could run at the speed of light. Because man, I used to hide in the fluff, suffering stupidly like you can only imagine. As comfort zone fluff became my happy place, beautifully worded, over-explained, and cleverly dodged avoidance. Because I could dress up fear in a tuxedo of insight, still not say what I actually meant. So here I am, as I recently clapped once, as a way to give myself a high five for even saying all this out loud. As relaying how I used to dodge my own honesty hasn't exactly been the most fun activity ever. Because, well, calling that out, that's just a win in my competition with myself lately. And it's not against others, but against the version of me that stayed clever instead of becoming clear. And guess what? Relaying all that legit felt good. Not flashy good, not fake good, but soul-fulfilling good. Because once the fluff is stripped away, what's left is some real work. And real work, that's where the aspects of ourselves that we've yet to discover lay dormant. And as we continue to try and wake up all of our narcoleptic volcanoes, we embark on the adventure of a lifetime. As Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So, let's dive into the nitty-gritty now that we've acquainted ourselves with how and why doing all this real work is even worth embracing the grind and trouble in the first place. So brace yourselves, while also realizing that there's purpose to the pain and that it definitely for sure is not for nothing. As we kick things off, going back to the foundation and first step, known as the sacred terror of silence. You sit in the dark, and for the first time in months, no pings, no plans, no one needing a damn thing from you, just your breath and something heavier beneath it. A hum, a weight, a quiet you didn't choose but can't seem to escape. And that's when it shows up. The real fear, not of being alone, but of being unmasked. I remember the first time it hit me. No texts, no noise, just me and the wreckage of everything I'd outrun. The girl I didn't fight for, the job I didn't apply to, the little voice in my chest I kept ghosting. Silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like a haunted house, room after room, full of choices I'd abandoned and truths I never signed up to meet. It doesn't yell, it doesn't point fingers, it just reveals. And that's what makes it brutal. Because once the noise is gone, there's nothing left to distract you from you. Most men aren't running from failure, they're running from the mirror, from the self that says you promised more. You hid, you settled, so we keep moving, from screen to screen, from bed to bed, from goal to goal, not to build something, but to outrun something. It's not about her, it's not about money, it's about escaping that one moment of stillness where all your masks fall off at once, and there you are, unarmored, unapplauded, undistracted. Will you run again, or will you finally face the storm? Here's the hard truth. Silence is the dojo, the battlefield, the temple. It strips you down. It says, show me who you are without the applause. And if you stay, if you let it cut, let it twist, let it echo, something miraculous happens. You don't die, you don't fall apart, you stay. And that is where power begins. Look, I'm not saying silence feels like a hug. It feels more like a brick to the chest. The silence goes, hey, remember that thing you said you'd do by 30? Still haven't. Remember that girl who saw through you? She left. Remember your dreams? Yeah, you muted them. But here's the plot twist. Those voices, they're not the truth. They're echoes, dusty scripts written by fear, read by the ghost of who you used to be. And you don't have to let them in. You can nod, smile, and not answer the door. Because here's what silence can give you. If you don't flinch, it gives you yourself. Unpolished, unedited, unapologetic. You realize you are not your regrets. You are not the job you didn't get, not the woman who walked away, not the boy who failed once and decided to keep failing small just to stay safe. You are the man who stayed, who sat in his own fire and didn't beg to be rescued. That's rare, that's sacred, that's stoic. This isn't the kind of growth that looks good on Instagram. It's not reps, it's not podcasts, it's not highlight reels of winning. It's the growth that happens in the quiet, the raw, the ordinary. The you at 3 a.m. realizing you're still here kind of growth. You let the storm rage. You don't numb. You don't reach for a new woman, a new project, a new mask. You stay, and in staying, you win something most men never touch. And from that silence, a new voice rises. It's not loud, but it's steady. It doesn't beg, but it knows. And when you re-enter the world, you don't move with hunger. You move with weight. Your words land. Your eyes say more than your mouth ever could. Not because you've conquered the world, but because you returned to the one man you abandoned. You. The world doesn't need more men who perform. It needs men who can sit in the silence, walk through the storm, and come out clean. Because that man, he doesn't chase, he doesn't prove, he doesn't beg to be seen. He becomes seen, and the world listens. With all that being said, these elements provide the fertile soil for the roots of our stillness and solitude transformation tree. So let's move on to some of the branches and dissect some of the unripe fruits that gave me food poisoning. So coming in categorized as part 2 of this stillness/solitude for the soul soliloquy. This next theme is known on the streets as the addiction you can't name, because there was a time I didn't know I was an addict. Not to alcohol, not to porn, not even to the chaos I called ambition. I was hooked on something quieter, smoother, socially acceptable. Approval. I'd wake up and check my phone like it was a pulse monitor. Did she text back? Did they like my post? Did someone, anyone, notice I existed? It felt harmless. It felt normal, but it wasn't connection. It was craving, dressed up in nice lighting and dopamine. I used to shapeshift. Nod when I disagreed, smile when I was shrinking, say yes when my soul was screaming, please say no. I wasn't being smart, wasn't being kind. I was being scared. Scared that if I stopped performing, I'd disappear. Because no one tells you this. There's no rehab for needing to be liked. No hotline for, hey, I lost myself trying to be palatable. But the cost is your soul. Approval looks cheap. It's not. It'll charge you your standards, your voice, your peace. You'll trade honesty for harmony, depth for applause, authenticity for belonging. And at first, you don't notice. But one day you're sitting alone in a life full of people and you realize no one knows you because you never let them. You only gave the version that made them clap. Here's what no one tells you. Approval is a high. It hits fast, feels warm, then leaves you emptier than before. And like any drug, the dose has to keep increasing. More followers, more filters, more pretending, until one day you burn out. Not because you're broken, but because wearing a mask every day is exhausting. So what do? You detox. You wean off the need to be liked. You give yourself back to yourself. At first, It's awkward. You stop checking your phone every 3 minutes. You stop explaining your boundaries like they're crimes. You start saying weird things like, actually, I don't want to go. That's not funny to me. I need space. People blink. The group chat goes quiet. You wonder if you've become a monster. But the silence isn't punishment. It's proof that you're finally being real. And then, somewhere in the quiet, a new voice rises, not needy, not loud, not strategic, just yours. The voice that doesn't speak to be approved, but because it needs to be spoken. And that's when it happens. You stop texting just to stay relevant. You stop laughing when it isn't funny. You stop reaching, bending, performing. You start choosing. You choose your peace, your values, your self-respect. And people notice, not because you're louder, but because you're rooted. That's the paradox. When you stop chasing approval, you become impossible to ignore, because men who beg to be liked, they vanish in the crowd, but men who choose themselves, they stand out, not with noise, but with weight, with stillness, with clarity, and the world feels it. That kind of man, he doesn't need applause to know who he is. He's not living for likes, he's living in alignment. And in that alignment, he finds a different kind of power, not from control, but from clarity, not from being seen, but from seeing himself. Which leads us over to the third and final theme of this stillness/solitude for the soul soliloquy. Once we get to this point, we're finally blessed with the ability to go inwards. And you know what's cool? You end up working an inside job that's ethically not a complete monstrosity for once. Isn't that ironic as hell? Working an inside job with a happy ending that's not Disney theme related or having to do with an NFL player's massage therapist. Isn't that interesting? And so with that in mind, coming in categorized as part 3 of this stillness/solitude for the soul soliloquy, the moment we've all been waiting for, it's known on the streets as the triple threat, because the ability to find sanctity within the stillness of solitude brings the pain and hardship of the first 2 parts all together. As part 3's theme is titled, Replacing Our Regrets with HD Vision Clarity. There comes a moment in every man's life when the noise doesn't stop, when he just stops listening, not because the world went quiet, but because he stepped out of the chaos, backed away, and finally heard what's been whispering beneath it all, himself. Because solitude is not isolation, it's restoration. It's where the masks fall off, the noise dies down, and what's left isn't emptiness, but essence. You stop checking your phone, stop stuffing every moment with movement, and suddenly you hear you, not the performing you, not the adjusting you, the you who's been quietly waiting for you to shut up and listen. And then it hits. This life I'm building, is it even mine? This relationship, am I safe or just scared to leave? This version of me, do I even like him? In the chaos we perform, in solitude we observe, and with observation comes honesty, and with honesty, clarity. You stop laughing at things that aren't funny, stop chasing people who make you shrink, stop saying yes to protect someone else's comfort while betraying your own center. You stop lying just to keep the peace, because fake peace isn't peace, it's a slow erasure. And when that fog lifts, you don't become louder, you become sharper. Your no comes clean. Your boundaries don't apologize. Your presence stops reaching and starts rooting. You stop explaining, stop justifying. You simply live, and your life starts speaking for itself. People may misunderstand you, they may pull away, they may whisper, "He's changed." But you stay steady, because when solitude has burned away the noise, what's left is real. A man who doesn't flinch to be alone, because he's not lonely, he's aligned. Solitude doesn't just clear your mind, it clarifies your mission, and from that place you build, not to prove, not to perform, but because building is what rooted men do. He doesn't chase applause, he doesn't beg to be understood, because now he understands himself. And that is the loudest peace there is. So if your world feels quiet right now, don't panic. That stillness, it's not a glitch, it's a doorway, not a void, but an invitation, an opening, a mirror, a soft whisper. beneath the noise that says, slow down, listen, come home. You don't need more replies, more women, more likes, more shiny, clever distractions. You need fewer tabs open, fewer voices in your head, more moments where you finally sit down and meet the one man you've been dodging, yourself. The man who walks alone. He's not lost, he's not weird, he's not behind, he's rebuilding. He's not escaping the world, he's returning to his center, sharpening, stripping, burning off everything that never belonged to him. He moves differently, not like a man waiting to be picked, but like a man who already picked himself. And when that happens, things shift. The wrong people fall away like dust. The right ones recognize you without fanfare. An opportunity, you stop chasing it, it starts finding you. Because here on this saucy Stoicism page, we don't chase applause, we don't perform for approval, we build from the inside out. So, if this didn't necessarily entertain you but it awakened you, hit like. And feel free to subscribe to this channel if you're about that clarification life over Noise Nation. Until next time, thanks again for watching. Stay up, stay blessed, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.